Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
I think it's a disgrace that information would be let out. I saw the information. I read the information outside of that meeting. It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen. And it was gotten by opponents of ours, as you know, because you reported it, and so did many of the other people. It was a group of opponents that got together, sick people, and they put that crap together. So I will tell you that not within the meeting, but outside of the meeting, somebody released it. It should never have been, number one, shouldn't have even entered paper, but it should never have been released. But I read what was released, and I think it's a disgrace. I think it's an absolute disgrace. As far as hacking, I think it was Russia, but I think we also get hacked by other countries and other people. Well, you know, President Putin and Russia put out a statement today that this fake news was indeed fake news. They said it totally never happened. Now, somebody would say, oh, of course he's going to say that. I respected the fact that he said that.
He respected it.
I'll be honest. I think if he did have something, they would have released it. They would have been glad to release it. I think, frankly, had they broken into the Republican National Committee, I think they would have released it just like they did about Hillary and all of the horrible things that her people, like Mr. Podesta, said about her. I mean, what he said about her was horrible. If somebody said about me what Podesta said about Hillary, I was the boss, I would have fired him immediately, or that person, because what he said about her was horrible. But remember this, we talk about the hacking, and hacking's bad, and it shouldn't be done. But look at the things that were hacked. Look at what was learned from that hacking. That Hillary Clinton got the questions to the debate and didn't report it? That's a horrible thing. That's a horrible thing. Can you imagine that if Donald Trump got the questions to the debate, it would have been the biggest story in the history of stories. And they would have said, immediately you have to get out of the race. Nobody even talked about it. If Putin likes Donald Trump, I consider that an asset, not a liability. Because we have a horrible relationship with Russia. Russia can help us fight ISIS, which, by the way, is number one tricky. I mean, if you look, this administration created ISIS by leaving at the wrong time.
That would be Bush.
The void was created. ISIS was formed. If Putin likes Donald Trump, guess what, folks? That's called an asset, not a liability. Now, I don't know that I'm going to get along with Vladimir Putin. I hope I do, but there's a good chance I won't. And if I don't, do you honestly believe that Hillary would be tougher on Putin than me? Does anybody in this room really believe that? Give me a break.
All right. All right. Oh God, I'm so wow. I don't want to say spread out. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything that involves the V, the P, nothing. Except you can't spell P without Putin, and you can't spell Trump without a P. So, oh my God, we were talking about the Golden Globes. Now we're talking about golden showers. Really, this is where we are. This is where we are, everybody. America, America. God shed his something on the. Happy birthday, Howard. Happy birthday, honey.
Thank you.
It's Howard's birthday. May Paul Ryan not destroy Medicare. And if he does, let it only affect future recipients like me and not you. That's my birthday wish for you. Damn, man. Okay, I guess we now know why Donald Trump is orange. I guess this is what we know. Those golden showers that impeach him in May. As soon as you're in office. Urine. Oh my God. And you know, this press conference that he had was like right in the middle of all this stuff. I mean, and we told you this was going to happen this week, and I was dreading it because I know the pace at which one person has to now work, you know, that person being me. It was just insane this morning. I got to tell you, it's like the most amazing thing. First of all, before we left last night, CNN did not report this until after 6 o'clock. It was the breaking news at the top of their 6 o'clock hour. And, you know, we got a heads up that they were releasing this report, that they were going. And I said right at the end of the show, I think it was like 10 till 6. Oh my God, look what CNN just put out. I said this was like the greatest stable of reporters. It was, you know, Evan Perez, who's an amazing reporter at CNN. I'm sure most of you who don't watch CNN have no earthly idea who Evan Perez is, but he's amazing. Jim Sciutto, it was Carl Bernstein, and it was Jake Tapper. These four who are getting the credit for breaking this story. No. I give you credit for making the story bigger, but the story was actually reported prior to the election. This is a story. We never saw the document. We never saw the actual 35-paged document, which I tweeted out last night. But we did know that there was some blackmailable stuff that was going on with Putin because of David Korn, who writes over at Mother Jones. So this is David Korn's story. Just want to give credit where credit is due. David Korn was the first person to report that there was opposition research that was going on by GOP rivals of Donald Trump, and that they had hired a former British MI6 intelligence officer who used to be for MI6 on the Russian beat, okay? He had great contacts in Russia. He had great contacts in Russian satellite countries. And he, in the British intelligence agency, MI6, had been working on the Russian portfolio for years before he started his own private company for hire. And he retired from MI6, and the GOP rivals, Mr. Trump's Republican rivals, hired this British intelligence officer's company to do opposition research specifically on Donald Trump's ties to Russia, which is why we know so much about the many, many, many ties that we went over yesterday before this even came out, that, you know, by virtue of CNN, that the intelligence communities thought that this British intelligence officer's reporting on behalf of the GOP rivals was so important and so astoundingly exposing Donald Trump in such a terrible way to Russian blackmail that they included it in the briefing that was widely announced would happen at Trump Tower by the four heads of the intelligence agencies in person, right? We knew that because that was public knowledge. Clapper had testified that he was prepared and ready to take all the four intelligence heads, and they were going to go to Trump Tower, and they were going to brief him in person about the nature of the Russian hacking, and that he didn't want to get ahead of the report, right? Remember? He didn't want to get ahead of the report and tell you what was in it. But he was going to go personally. Jake Clapper was, and James Comey was from the FBI, and the Admiral Rogers was going to go in. They were all, the four of them were all going to go in person to tell Donald Trump this bad news that there were peeing hookers. Peeing hookers, yeah. Why isn't the president David Vitter in that case? I mean, come on. Peeing hookers, really, or wide stance. What was his name from? Remember him? No, nobody remembers him. He's a senator that trolled bathrooms for boys, and he had a wide stance and knew all the palm, you know, the palming of the bottom of the toilet in order to tell somebody I'm open for you. Whatever. I just, you know, whatever. So it's so interesting. Okay, so this was public knowledge. Okay. keep that in mind as I play this for you. Okay, this was Trump today at his conference, at his press conference, saying what a disgrace and a disgusting thing it was that these documents, which he considers confidential intelligence information, was leaked to the press. This was not confidential intelligence information. Here's why the details of the story is so important. Here's why it's important that you know that the GOP rivals that did not want Donald Trump to win ever, put it this way, the never Trump people, hired this former British intelligence agent with good Russia ties to look into the ties that Donald Trump had to Vladimir Putin's Russia. Why was he praising him? Why all of a sudden did the GOP platform change to include that they would not defend NATO countries if they didn't start paying up, or that he didn't believe that NATO was something that the United States should be part of? It was so antiquated, we should get rid of it. All these different things. And why was he praising Putin so much? This was a private intelligence company that was hired by the rivals of Donald Trump in the GOP to do opposition research on Donald Trump's ties to Russia. This is not classified intelligence. What then happened was the British intelligence agent that was hired by the GOP to do this research found the information so alarming and so exposing to Donald Trump's ability to be blackmailed that they told their clients, look, we're going to give you the information that we uncovered here, but we're also giving it to the FBI. We're sending it to James Comey. You see? This is why yesterday when Ron Wyden was questioning Comey, and we played you that clip, which I will play again for you, it was so important because Wyden knew. Everybody knew for months now, because David Corn's article came out in October, before the election. Senator Harry Reid's letter that said that they were sitting to James Comey, saying you're sitting on explosive information about Donald Trump's Russia ties. He wrote it to James Comey before the election. It's because they knew. They saw this privately developed, paid for report, because the private company sent it to their clients and also sent it to our FBI, sent it to John McCain. John McCain thought it was so alarming that he made sure that the FBI had it. And Comey said, yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it. And after it became clear that Trump was going to be the Republican nominee, then Democratic clients began to pay the same firm for that same report. Standard practice in politics. However, here's Donald Trump accusing our intelligence agency. And this is why it's so disgusting, okay? The report not only includes peeing hookers, but it says that there was collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia during the entire election cycle and prior, and way before. That the Russians had been cultivating Donald Trump as a Manchurian candidate for anywhere from 8 to 5 years. That's what's really alarming, not the peeing hookers, okay? Although it does explain a lot. And the fact that nobody would think that it's so absurd that Donald Trump would have had hookers in Russia peeing on a bed that Barack and Michelle Obama slept in at the Ritz-Carlton, that it's so vindictive and so sexually perverted that nobody would even say it's beyond Trump. I mean, the entire phrase beyond Trump has no meaning, because you don't even know, this man at all. So, this idea that, and I just pray to God it wasn't the Miss Universe contestants, because that's a really tough way to win the talent competition. That's all I hope. But okay, so here's Trump today alleging that the intelligence community, he attacked everybody. He attacked Lindsey Graham today. He attacked CNN today. He attacked Rona, his personal assistant. Maybe Rona was leaking to the press, so I didn't tell Rona. Why doesn't he just issue a joint statement with Putin already? Everybody's guilty except for him. It's so absurd.
President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, you said just now that you believe that Russia indeed was responsible for the hacking of the DNC and John Podesta's emails, etc.
Well, Russia, but you know what? Could have been others also.
But why did you spend weeks undermining the U.S. intelligence community before simply getting the facts and then making a public statement?
Well, I think it's pretty sad when intelligence reports get leaked out to the press. I think it's pretty sad. First
These
of
are
all,
not
it's illegal.
intelligence reports,
You know,
and it's not illegal.
These are classified and certified meetings and reports.
No.
I'll tell you what does happen. I have many meetings with
here comes the
intelligence.
snorting.
And every time I meet, people are reading about it. Somebody's leaking it out. So then I said, maybe it's my office. Maybe my office. Because I have a lot of people, a lot of great people. Maybe it's them. And what I did is I said, I won't tell anybody. I'm going to have a meeting, and I won't tell anybody about my meeting with intelligence. And what happened is I had my meeting. Nobody knew, not even Rona.
Not even Rona.
Executive assistant for years. She didn't know. I didn't tell her. Nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
The meeting was had. The meeting was over. They left. And immediately, the word got out that I had a meeting.
The word?
So, I don't want that. I don't want that. It's very unfair to the country. It's very unfair to our country, what's happened. That report should have never, first of all, it shouldn't have been printed because it's not worth the paper it's written on. And I thank the New York Times for saying that. I thank a lot of different people for saying that. But I will tell you, that should never, ever happen. Okay.
Okay. First of all, poor Rona. He shoved her under the bus, too. He says, I got a lot of great people, but maybe it's my damn people. Maybe it's my own people backstabbing me. Especially Rona. I'm not telling Rona nothing no more. Listen, the idea that the entire world did not know that he was being briefed the day after President Obama was being briefed on this intelligence assessment about the Russian hacking is so absurd and such a blatant, transparent lie, if there's such a thing. I mean, it's so everybody knew that he was being briefed, that Obama was going to be briefed on Thursday and that Trump was going to be briefed on Friday. And then Friday afternoon, the public got the declassified version of the briefing. Now, the 2 pages that were included in the briefing were 2 pages that were not classified material. They were not developed by the intelligence community. The 2-page summary of this 35 pages that was printed last night, that was released by BuzzFeed last night. The 2-page synopsis of these 35 pages was included. That was the news. But those 35 pages were not intelligence product, as they say. It was a private investigator's findings. There is no classified information. Zero, none. And not telling Rona was not going to solve the problem that Clapper had testified that he was going to brief the president and then he was going to brief you in public. Under oath, he said this. What is wrong with this man? I mean, he is so divorced from reality that, like I said, anything, people say, oh, even the peeing hookers, that's beyond Trump. Beyond Trump has no meaning.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit randyrhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
Buy a stinking podcast.